Welcome back to Find Your Way to Vibe. I'm Amber, and I'm really glad you're here with me today. However, you're arriving, whether your day has been full or quiet, whether your thoughts feel busy or slow, you're welcome here, just as you are. Today's episode is about learning to trust what we feel, not because something was broken, but because something inside us has been quietly guiding us all along. For me, that trust didn't arrive all at once. It grew through small moments, through care, and through listening to my body before my mind had an answer. And today, I want to explore that kind of trust with you, the kind that grows gently through listening, creativity, movement, and rest. So settle in and let's begin. Before we begin, take a breath with me. Take a slow breath in and let it out gently. Wherever you are, allow yourself to arrive, to soften your shoulders, to set down whatever feels heavy, and to walk gently into this space with me. Welcome to Find Your Way to Vibe. In the last episode, we talked about choosing yourself after years of shrinking, about noticing where you've been quiet, accommodating, or small, and gently deciding that your needs matter too. That choice can feel pretty powerful, and it can feel relieving, and a little bit unfamiliar at times, because choosing yourself isn't just a decision, it's an opening. Once you choose yourself, something begins to shift, not in a loud or dramatic way, but quietly. You start to notice what feels supportive and what feels depleting, what brings you back into yourself and what pulls you away. For me, choosing myself wasn't the end of the work. It was just the beginning of a deeper relationship with myself. One that required learning how to listen again, to recognize the difference between tension and ease, and to trust the signals in my body before my mind tried to explain them away. And that's where today's reflection begins. Because learning to trust what you feel is often the next step after choosing yourself. And once we begin listening in that way, those choices start to show up in everyday moments. Not in big and dramatic ways, but in how we spend our time, who we choose to be with, and where we let ourselves go. And that's where I found my way to vibe this week. This week, I found my way to vibe by getting outside and hiking with my daughter. After she saw the week that I went through, she invited me out for some much needed girl time in the mountains. And honestly, it was exactly what I didn't know I was craving. Spending time with her on the trail was so much fun and brought us both so much joy. She has a way of bringing out a more playful side and reminding me not to take myself so seriously and to gently set down the week. A bonus was that we caught an incredible sunset, which was always top notch in my book. We really enjoy catching those beautiful sunsets up on the mountain, so that was very much needed and worth it. After that, we ended up going to a street fair where we just wandered through the markets and found some really good Mexican food and some tasty drinks as we just sat there and chatted and enjoyed our time being outside, moving my body, talking, laughing, and just spending time with her outside of my normal was exactly what my soul needed. So it reminded me how much a simple change of scenery can shift everything. I forget sometimes how restorative that kind of time can be. And it's definitely a reminder to get back out there more often. So here's your reminder too. Get outside, go have some fun, catch the sunset. Now, I'd love to turn the reflection toward you. How did you find your way to vibe this week? You can share it with me on the contact page at findyourwaytovibe.com or over on Instagram. You can send me a message or tag me in a post. I truly look forward to hearing your stories. As we step on to today's Trail of Gratitude, I invite you to pause and notice what's present for you right now. Wherever you are, whether you're walking, driving, sitting, or resting, take a few slow breaths and let that awareness settle. If you feel moved to, you might make a note of what's coming up or simply allow it to pass through you. You might notice something softening. You might feel a sense of lightness. You might simply feel more present or more connected to what matters in this moment. As I sat with this practice today, what came forward for me was how grateful I am for the early morning hours. It is my favorite time of day, and I look forward to the morning so much. I find so much peace in the quiet space before the day fully unfolds. It's time that feels unclaimed, and it's time that allows for reflection, listening, or just simply stillness. Those early moments have become a gentle anchor for me for a long time now, and I look forward to it. I just simply am so grateful for the time I have with the morning because it's a place where I can check in with myself before the noise of the world sets in. So, yeah, a whole lot of gratitude for the early mornings. And as you hold your own gratitude today, let it be simple, let it be honest. And as we carry that gratitude with us, let it walk beside you as we move into the next reflection. This week's reflection is about learning to trust what I feel. And before I could do that, I had to learn how to listen to what I feel. I talk often about how walking helped me heal, and it truly did. But it wasn't the only thing that brought me back to myself. As I began learning how to listen to what I was feeling, instead of reacting right away, I noticed something very clearly. I was tired, not just physically tired, but emotionally tired. I was tired of feeling anxious all the time and tired of carrying tension without knowing where to place it. I was tired of trying to think my way through everything as if the right thought would magically appear and make it all settle. That realization didn't come with judgment. It came with honesty. So I began looking for ways to care for myself differently. And meditation was one of the first things I felt drawn to, as I mentioned in earlier reflections. And honestly, at first, it really intimidated me because I wasn't sure if I would get it or if I would do it right. I worried that my mind would wander too much or that my body wouldn't be able to sit still long enough. But I tried anyways. And what I learned very quickly was that meditation wasn't about achieving anything. It wasn't about clearing my mind or reaching some elevated state. It was about simply being. At first, I couldn't sit still. My body shifted constantly. My thoughts wandered from one thing to the next. And I wasn't sure that I would stick with it because it was very frustrating at first. Eventually, I was guided towards short, simple, guided meditations. And those were game changers for me. Just 10 minutes a day was all that was required. Nothing complicated, nothing too demanding. It was just 10 minutes. And those 10 minutes slowly became sacred for me. They were moments where my body could soften and where my mind could rest, where I could breathe without pressure or expectation. And through that stillness, I learned how to notice discomfort without needing to escape it or adjust it, without needing to fix it. I learned to sit with myself, and that in itself became a form of trust. It was one of the first moments I realized that listening didn't have to be loud to be powerful. And as I spent more time listening, and I mean really listening, I started to understand something important. What I was feeling wasn't getting in the way, it was showing me the way. I've come to understand that our feelings aren't interruptions, they're information. They are the way something inside us communicates, often long before we have the words for it. Sometimes feelings arrive as clarity or a quiet knowing. Sometimes they arrive as a sense of a yes or a no that doesn't need much explanation. And other times they show up as restlessness or tension or that unsettling feeling that something is asking for our attention or something isn't right. And sometimes they arrive as a gentle pull towards something that's good for us, that nourishes us, something supportive, something that helps us come back to ourselves. Learning to trust what I feel meant asking different kind of questions. Not what's wrong with me, but what is this feeling asking for right now? That shift changed everything for me because when I listened that way, I realized that not every feeling wanted to be solved. Not every feeling needed an answer or some grand plan. Some feelings just wanted to be met, to be acknowledged and allowed to be there. Some feelings just want to be met with breath or movement or expression or simply care. And often that was enough. Meditation opened the door for me, but expression is what helped me move what I was holding. One of those things that I did was journaling. Journaling became a place where my emotions could land safely, a place where nothing needed to be edited or filtered. No one was going to read it, so I felt safe to write it, where I didn't have to explain myself or make sense of anything right away. When I was upset with someone, I would write to them, not with the intention of sending it, but simply giving my feelings somewhere to go. I wrote when I was sad or when I missed somebody. I wrote when words felt stuck in my throat and had nowhere else to land. Sometimes I wrote pages. Sometimes it was scribbles. Sometimes it was just a few messy lines or a poem, just enough to release what was there. There are times where I often would burn the paper afterwards as a therapeutic kind of thing to do. And I would watch the words burn in front of me and just sit with it and let it go. That ritual reminded me that emotions don't have to stay trapped inside of us. They don't need to be carried forever. they can move, they can soften, and they can pass through us. And I'm grateful that I found journaling and I took the time to journal because it really helped me through a lot. Another thing that helped was movement. Movement became another way of listening. Dancing brought joy back into my body, not as something to achieve, but just something to feel. Yoga helped me slow down and notice where I was holding tension, places I hadn't even realized needed my attention. And another practice was Tai Chi that showed me how gentle movement could regulate my nervous system, how slowness could be grounding instead of uncomfortable. I was pretty shocked with that one. And dance especially taught me something I still carry with me. When I stopped thinking ahead, when I stopped trying to control the next step, everything flowed more easily. And that lesson stayed with me far beyond the dance floor. I didn't just stumble into these moments, I began to recognize them as practices. And over time, I began to see these weren't just moments that helped, they were practices that were teaching me how to listen, teaching me how to come back into my body and how to notice what I needed and how to respond with care. Something I've come to understand through my time finding my way to vibe is that trust often finds its way back through the body first. For me, that return didn't come from thinking harder or figuring things out. It came through simple practices like meditation, yoga, journaling, dancing, riding, walking, all of the above, and more. And none of them were about fixing me. It felt almost like my body was teaching me how to trust again, one small movement at a time. These practices were creating space to notice what was already there, space to feel what I had been carrying, and to listen without rushing to make sense of it. Meditation helped me slow down enough to hear myself again. It showed me that clarity doesn't need to be forced. It often arrives when we stop pushing. Yoga helped me soften in places I didn't even realize I was holding tension. It became a quiet conversation with my body, one stretch and one breath at a time. And journaling gave my thoughts somewhere safe to land, a place where I could let things spill out without editing or explaining or any kind of judgment. Dancing reminded me that joy holds wisdom too, that movement can be playful and still deeply healing. Writing helped me make meaning without needing immediate answers, just allowing words to find their own rhythm. Tai Chi surprised me the most. Its slow flowing movements helped my body move from tension to calm in a matter of minutes. It taught me that regulation doesn't have to be intense to be effective. And sometimes slowness is the medicine that we need. Once I understood that, I stopped trying to do more and started paying attention to what helped me return to me. Trust doesn't come from doing more. It comes from returning to what my body is asking for and returning to what feels supportive in the moment. I don't follow a rigid routine by any means. I'm not perfect or consistent in the traditional sense of these practices. Instead, I just listen to what I need in the moment. Some days I need movement. Some days I need stillness. Some days I need to write everything out just to put it down on paper and out of my head. Other days I just need a breath. But over time, I found a rhythm that feels right for me. It's flexible and responsive and patient. And that relationship with myself, that permission that I've given to myself to respond to what I actually need, is where my trust begins. And as that trust grows, it creates space for something else to return. Something else that surprised me along the way is that when I learned to trust my feelings, I realized that joy and ease could guide me too. Not everything meaningful feels heavy. Not all growth requires us to struggle. And for a long time, I had lost my joy. But through these practices, slowly but surely, I found it again. And I didn't want to lose it. I wanted to hold on to it. Because once I felt it and allowed myself to follow it, I didn't want to let go. I gave myself permission to be more free, to laugh more, to choose things that felt light and nourishing and happy, and to stay present in the moments instead of constantly bracing for that moment to end. Joy became my signal, a quiet reminder that I was aligned. And that's another thing I am so grateful for, is finding my joy again. And that brings us to today's Brooklyn Lights the Way. Today, Brooklyn Lights the Way is dedicated to the teachers and mentors who guide us, often quietly through their presence and care. Over the years, I've come to realize that my teachers haven't all looked the same. Some taught me in classrooms, some taught me through movement and music, some taught me simply by being who they were in the moment I needed it, and some showed up out of the blue. They've been parents and friends, partners, children and elders, people I've known deeply, and people I've only met briefly. Each one of my teachers or mentors offered something different: a lesson in worth, a reminder of confidence, an invitation to breathe, a deeper understanding of love and of life, or a gentle nudge inward. Teachers light the way in more forms than we often notice, and I believe we're capable of doing the same for one another. To the teachers who've shaped my path, thank you. Your guidance continues to walk with me each and every day. If you have someone who lit the way for you and would like to share, head on over to the website at findyourwaytovibe.com and submit a form on the contact page. As we wrap up this episode, I wanted to leave you with one final thought. Learning to trust what you feel is a practice, one that unfolds slowly and over time. It's built through care, through attention, and the small choices that bring you back into yourself again and again. Trust doesn't come from having all the answers. It doesn't come from doing more or trying harder. It comes from listening, from noticing what your body is asking for, from honoring what feels grounding, supportive, and true, even in simple ways. And every time you meet yourself with presence, through movement, creativity, stillness, or rest, you strengthen that trust a little more. That's what this return is all about. Not becoming someone new, not fixing what was never broken, but remembering who you've always been and learning how to walk with yourself with more ease, honesty, and care. Thank you for walking with me today, for listening inward, and for choosing yourself gently. May what you've noticed here stay with you in quiet ways this week. Until next time, walk slowly, breathe deeply, and remember you can always find your way to vibe.